We're live.
We're live.
This is awesome. That's great. Actually, the connection seems to be way better too.
Good.
That's really good. Perfect. So thank you very much for doing this. Our students are going to be super pumped to have a chat with you. They were really excited that like my cousin was like so highly educated and intelligent. They're like, really? Your cousin? Yes, it's true. But we've got all this this PowerPoint presentation here that they sent their questions on, and I just thought we'd kind of go through those one by one, and I would just kind of write down the answers as we go through. So if I'm looking away, I'm not being rude. I'm not like practicing terrible online communication etiquette or anything like that, because we try and model these things in school, you know. So we're looking over here at the Weddell seals. So a couple of questions. And the first one that some of our students had said is, why do seals have fur?
And that's a good question. They have it just like you have to put on a coat in the winter. You need to keep warm. Most of the time, the adults are in the water. The only time they come out onto the ice, like in the picture you have there, is to have their babies. And when they're adults, you see how big the mama is. She's got a great big layer of fat inside of her called blubber, and it's that really insulates her really well. It keeps her very warm in the water, and then she has a little thin layer of fur on top of that. But when the babies are born, they don't have any blubber yet.
Okay.
And so the baby has a special kind of fur called Lanugo.
Ah.
And it's a very, very thick, warm, insulating fur that they keep for about 6 weeks, and then they begin shedding it, and they get these funny black patches of bare skin on where the new fur grows on. But yeah, that's the main reason, just for insulation, keep them warm.
And what was that special fur called again?
Called Lanugo, and it's very soft.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, were you able to touch a baby seal at all when you were there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
So what we're doing down there is every year and this has been going on for like 50 years. The mama seals come up on ice. They have their baby, and then they spend the first 7 weeks of the baby's life on the ice. Now it's real hard for a person to tell one seal from another. So what we do is we put these little plastic tags into their flipper.
Okay.
And each tag has a number on it. And so we can say, oh, that's number 2973. And then we know all about that when we know who its mother was, what year it was born, whether we saw it last year,
wow. All
that kind of information. We can keep track, and we know something about their lives that way.
That is really neat.
Yeah. So as far as handling them, a lot of times they'd both be asleep on the ice, and we'd sneak up on them and sort of take the baby and drag it off a little bit and put the tags on its flipper. Wow. And sometimes it's no problem at all. Sometimes the baby complains a lot, and sometimes the mama gets a little crazy, but yeah, it's pretty neat.
That is really neat. All right. So did they ever have any did you ever have any contact with a polar bear or any of the other animals in Antarctica?
We did. So did I send you the Flickr page? I've got some great pictures of penguins. We had a lot of penguins coming through, emperor penguins, which are about 3-4 feet tall. Yeah. And they kind of come ambling through our camp and checking out our snowmobiles and stuff like that. So there's emperor penguins. The bird in the picture with this question is called a skua. It's called a South Polar skua. That's the only other bird we saw. Okay. If you look down into the water, there's all kinds of crustaceans, crabs, and all kinds of weird animals that live in the water. But the one thing they don't have down there is polar bears. There's no polar bears in Antarctica. They're all in the Arctic in the north.
Okay, that's right.
But you know, it's funny. A whole lot of people ask me if we run into any polar bears.
Hopefully not, right?
Right.
That is really neat. And what did you say? That was the bird is called a South Polar Skua?
Yeah, SKUA. I think the family Jaegers, Jaeger, that they're from.
Okay.
Kind of like a seagull, but if you look closely at the picture, you'll see he's got a sort of a sharper bill, and they eat meat. Some part of their diet.
Wow. That is really neat. We actually did check out your Flickr pages, and actually this question came up before we had looked at all of those pictures that you had sent us. But we will, before this call's over, I'll have to send you, pull up the screen where we have a whole bunch of examples of student art with that. It's really neat.
Oh, good. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, this was so interesting seeing that. I think this was from the video. Most of these pictures are from the video initially that you sent over to us. It looks like you took some kind of Air Force plane to get there.
So what we do, we fly down to Christchurch, which is in northern New Zealand, and that's quite a long trip from here in the United States, from up by you guys. That takes maybe 20 hours all told with the connections. We go there, and then we wait several days, hoping for good weather.
Okay.
And every morning you got to get up really early and find out if the flight's going to go or not, because they just have enough fuel to get there and back, but they can't sort of take any chances, so they have to check the weather.
Wow.
And we go on a C-17 transport. It's like the size of a 747, except inside it's completely stripped down inside, and they have great big packing crates for the supplies that they take down, and everybody sits along the walls inside of it. It's a really interesting airplane to be in.
So that plane that we see a picture of right there is the 747 size?
Yep.
Wow.
And it lands on the ocean. So all around Antarctica, in the Antarctic winter, it's everything's iced over, and there's some places where there's permanent sea ice. That I would believe is probably on about 15 feet of ice.
Okay.
5 meters or more of ice. And so this plane comes in, and can you imagine landing an airplane on ice? Like, you can't put the brakes on very hard. You just get all over. So when you touch down, you just go a real long ways before stopping.
Wow.
And then they put us on a big bus to take us back into the little town there.
Wow. That is really cool.
Yeah.
So how cold does it get there?
It gets very cold. Now, we were there in the just as we're coming into the Antarctic spring, and so it's warmer than typical. That meant it was about, let's see, in Celsius, about minus 20 Celsius.
Okay.
But that's not the part that's bad. The part that's bad is it's windy out on the ocean. So we were actually living out on the ocean. And except for some islands around us, there's just nothing. There's no hills or anything to break the wind.
Wow.
And so the first few days we were there this past time, we had 40-mile-an-hour winds with, minus 20, minus 30 degrees. It was cold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
We buckled up real good.
I'm sure. Now, when we saw the pictures there too, just it was daylight in all of them. Is that because the days were so long there?
It never got dark the whole time we were there.
Oh, wow.
You could go out in the middle of the night. In fact, I remember one night, one of my cabin mates waking me up and saying, "Bill, there's penguins outside. They're all in the camp." So got up in the middle of the night, grabbed my camera, go outside and start taking pictures. And the sun never sets. It just goes around in a big circle around the sky. And then, of course, once it turns into their winter, the sun never comes up.
Right, yeah. Wow. Did that affect you at all or no?
one thing is it meant we worked very long days because and this past time we were down there, we had some delays because of bad weather problems, and so we had extra work to do. So the beginning of it was really hard work, and we're really worn out. That's the only way it affected me.
Okay, yeah.
We had our cabins, we had them darkened inside so we could sleep.
Oh, good. Okay. So some of the kids noticed that the cabins were orange. So
yeah. Well, there's a reason for that. I'll tell you a little bit about those cabins. The original idea was people up in, I think, Minnesota, who did ice fishing, would build these little cabins on sleds and drag them out onto the lake or whatever, where they drill their hole to go fishing. Okay. So they just modified that idea and made these, and they're fairly big. Yeah. And each year they drag them out onto the ice for us, and we had 4 of them. And the reason they're brightly colored is if you're out. I remember I was saying about the wind. Yeah. So it doesn't actually snow very much in where we were, but there's always snow around. And if the wind comes up, you can just be in blizzard conditions in no time. Yeah. So it's really important to be able to see things at a distance. Right. In fact, the first thing we did when we got there was we put out flags across the ice, so that you can see the next flag and know that you're going where you're supposed to be going. And sometimes it gets so bad that you just have to stop and wait until visibility. So orange is for visibility, just like the red jackets. Okay, so,
yeah. Really, that's really neat. So there's one of these pictures over here too. It says, how did they get so close to the seals without being attacked? Now, it sounds like you said just a couple minutes ago that sometimes they were a little bit unhappy when you tried to tag one of the kids.
Well, so the mamas are great big. They're really big animals. Yeah. And they could do you some mischief if they got a hold of you. But most of the threats they face in their lifetime are from orca whales underneath ice and in the ocean, and they don't have any predators. Nothing bothers them when they're up on the ice. Yeah, it's a great thing to have their babies, and so they're not used to people being around, but they're not afraid of them either. Okay, and so we can walk right up to them. So
they just don't seem, they're not threatened by you.
No, I mean occasionally they get a little bit antsy, and they might. Then what we do is we'd have several people working together, and one would be trying to distract the mother. And,
Okay. No, that's neat. Yeah, so you have to work together in teams for sure. I could see that being really important.
And the little babies, they only weigh maybe 50 pounds when they're born. They grow like crazy. In 7 weeks, they go from the size of a second grader to the size of a Major League football player.
In 7 weeks.
It's 7 weeks, and that's all off of their mama's milk.
That's right.
And, it's astounding. But even when they're born, they can be a little bit of a handful to handle. So definitely teamwork.
Wow. Yeah, gotcha. Wow. So another question too with the kids is like how their bodies were so large compared to their heads.
And that's a great question. That's a really great question. And I had to ask the gentleman named Jay Rotella, who's the team leader for this project, about it. So he really knows a lot about them. So seals don't rely much on their sense of smell. Okay. They don't need big, heavy teeth, and they don't need a lot of muscles in their head. A lot of seals and mammals have a ridge that goes across the top of their head called I don't know, something like that. I got it written down here somewhere. Let me get it. It's called a sagittal something or other. Okay. Wait a minute. Yeah, sagittal crest that they have. So if you were to look at a lot of animals' skulls, they have this crest that goes across their head, and that's where the muscles attach to give them really strong jaws.
Oh, wow.
But Weddell seals eat fish primarily, and it's soft, and they don't need real strong. what is interesting about their head is their front teeth. They have very large and pointing forward front teeth. And they use that to, and I think one of the pictures in your presentation shows this, they use that to cut the ice around the edges of the island so that they can come in and out of the...
Wow.
They come up and they hang on it by their jaw and they go... And you can see the chips flying everywhere. So basically, why do they have such small heads? They don't need a bigger head.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, that's neat.
And the other thing that's interesting, and you don't really see it so much in this picture that goes with this question, is that they have very large eyes.
Yeah.
And apparently their sight, their vision is quite exceptional, even underwater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat. And we noticed some white spots on them, too.
I think probably that's, like this one, is that's just blowing snow.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, it's just little pellets of snow on them.
Blowing snow. Yeah. And I remember the student who asked the next question, too, which is, why are they so cute? He was so incredulous. Like, it's unbelievable.
They're really cute. And the other thing is, I don't know if you see it so much in this picture, but you see them in a lot of them, that they have sort of a natural smile shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really tempting to think of them as like cute little cuddly animals.
Yeah.
They're wild animals.
Yeah.
And they can be. Oh, so in this picture with the why are they so cute question, do you see over on the right-hand side, there's shavings on the ice.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the mama in that hole there. And she has been hanging on there by her top jaw and thrashing about to keep that from icing over. Where this is at the base of an island. So you imagine the sea ice like this. Yep. And as the tide goes in and out, the ice that's stuck to the island doesn't go up and down, but the other one does, so it breaks.
Right.
And they get these openings, and that's where they can come out onto the ice, and that's where the mama opens up these holes. And in this picture, she's got a little baby in there learning to swim.
Okay.
And it was really cool. Like sometimes seeing the mothers trying to coax the baby to get into the water. Like, come on,
yeah.
Audrey, how to swim.
So how far away are you from that picture right there?
10 feet.
Wow. Yeah. That is amazing. So how do they breathe? Underwater or on land? We ask because they seem quite content both ways.
You know what? I think I'm going to only be able to give you an incomplete answer on this. But I know they breathe very, very well. They do have lungs, like we do.
Yep.
So they breathe through their mouth and nose like we do.
Yep.
But they can hold their breath for exceptionally long periods of time. They can stay underwater for 80 minutes at a time.
Wow.
And they can dive down to 600 meters of depth.
Wow, that is really far.
Now, all these things I'm telling you is about this particular species of seal, which is called a Weddell seal. There are many, many species of seals, and there's quite a lot of differences among them. One of the interesting things about the Weddell seals is this ability to dive so well and to swim for so long underwater. We didn't see very many other species of seals where we were. The reason being that they would have to come in from way out on the ocean underneath all this ice to where the islands are to come up.
Oh.
And so there were one or two other species we'd see occasionally. But the Weddell seals are exceptional in their ability to hold their breath. And I believe part of that, the part that I'm a little vague on, but I think it has something to do with their blood chemistry, that it's different than other animals, than us and other mammals. And I can't remember, I just remember a vague sense of, I have to get back to you on that one.
Okay, that's really interesting though. Like 80 minutes to hold your breath, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and 600 meters, so they go way down into the depths to get great big fish and stuff to eat.
That's pretty neat. So we like this picture too. A lot of the kids were really interested in this next one, because they looked at that and they're like, wow, we had no idea they were so huge.
They're massive.
But that's a big animal right there.
That mama there, I remember the day when we did this. What we were doing was weighing her. And so we had this, you can see that big white thing there. That's a sled that we could pull along behind our snowmobiles.
Oh, okay.
And it was a scale. It was like your bathroom scale that you step on.
Yeah.
But you can't, how do you talk a seal into getting up onto the scale? You know, it was a lot of work to convince them. What we would do is we'd put the baby on the scale.
Oh.
And then I'd go to the baby. Then we pull the baby off to the other side. And then, so that's the baby in front there.
Yeah.
And the seal has got onto it. And one of the researchers is reading her weight. And I remember this particular one wasn't terribly big. It was about 550 kilos.
Okay.
So that's pretty big.
That's pretty big.
1,200 pounds. 1,210
wow.
pounds. 500, yeah, something.
550 kilograms.
Yes,
and
roughly. Remember, 1,210 pounds.
1,210 pounds.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a big animal.
I was telling you about how the mama is that big and the baby's that little.
Yeah.
When it's born. Baby's maybe 50, 60 pounds. The baby is feeding from its mother's milk for the first 7 weeks of its life.
Yeah.
And the whole time the mother's not eating. The baby goes from 50 pounds to 250 pounds. And the mama goes from 1,300 pounds down to maybe 800 pounds.
Wow.
Lose a whole bunch of weight during that time. It's amazing how these things work. Yeah. It's just amazing.
That is amazing. Yep. That is really neat. And to be able to see this stuff firsthand, like how did that happen? Like you're at work. Like how in the world?
Biologist.
What's that?
I'm not a biologist. I'm a statistician. Yeah. So I'm one of mathematician types who makes mathematical models, and you might be hearing about all the coronavirus models now and all that. So that kind of mathematical modeling is the sort of thing I do.
Yeah.
I work at a wildlife research center. One of my colleagues was acquainted with the team at Montana State University doing this study. Okay. And he knew they had some questions that he thought I could answer. And so that was about maybe 12 years ago. And we've been collaborating ever since. And every once in a while I would tell Jay, the guy's name's Jay, I would tell him, there's data that they don't sound good. Maybe you should just kind of put them aside. And I think he wanted me to know how hard it is to collect the data. So he invited me down there in 2015 and then again in 2018. So
wow.
So that's how I got hooked up with it.
Any trips up on the horizon or anything?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's neat though.
Depends on a lot of things. Yeah.
I'd
love to go back.
Would you go back?
I'd have to think about it. This last time, it was rough. I mean, I was. There were times where I was so exhausted.
Really?
I can't even get off this snowmobile. I can't lift my leg over it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was good.
That's incredible. Let's see. How many days were you there?
Each time I was there, it was about a month.
Okay.
And about a month out on the ice.
Yeah.
So all the traveling down to New Zealand, then waiting a few days till there's a flight. Then we fly into a little town called McMurdo Station. You might want to look that up.
What's it called again? Say it again.
It's called McMurdo Station. It's run by the U.S. National Science Foundation.
Okay.
And they have a little town there, maybe 300 people there full time.
300 people?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's scientists doing studies all over Antarctica.
Yeah.
That's sort of their main base. That's where they come to get supplies. And that's where we just happen to be close by.
Yeah.
So while you're in McMurdo Station, anything you need for your study, you just go and take it. No questions asked. You're hungry, you go into the cafeteria any time of day and night and just eat as much as you want. It's just great.
Yeah.
and we had snowmobiles from there that we went about, it was about a 15-mile ride on the ocean on our snowmobiles to get to where our camp was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with all that, you don't go down there for a weekend.
Oh, no way. That's a long way. Well, I remember, like, when we lived with Rebecca's mom, they're out on the farm, which it's just like 15 minutes away. But the boys and I would go out, and sometimes I'd go out and help them with wood, right? So that's like, it's probably a mile out there. But I'll tell you what, riding in a tractor, coming back with a pile of wood, and it's like 15 below outside, you get back. That was enough for me.
Wow, and the snowmobiles,
15 miles.
And the ice on the ocean is not real smooth. And the weird part about it is it's so bright. First of all, you have to wear goggles, sun goggles all the time, or you'll get what they call snow blindness.
Okay.
But so you have goggles and everything on, but it's hard to see any texture in it.
Oh yeah.
So you're going along, and there's this stuff called, this is a weird word. It's a Russian word, sistrugi.
Okay.
And it's where the wind blows snow, and it then hardens, and you get these little hills and stuff. So you go along in a snowmobile, 20, 30 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you're airborne. Oh!
Really?
Yeah. Oh. And so it took a bit of a battering on the snow machines, and it was fun, memorable.
Oh, I'm sure you got good stories for sure. So we found out what you were doing to that seal, which is obviously weighing the seal. Yeah. And the white thing, we've answered that really well too. That's the
scale.
The scale, the sled scale, right?
Tell you one more thing about that.
Yeah.
So I mentioned how much the mother loses weight while she's nursing her pup.
Yes.
We really like to know how much the mothers weigh, but getting them on the scale is an awful lot of work.
Yeah.
So we've got a system now where we walk up and we put stakes into the ice around the seal, and then take pictures. So one of the earlier pictures was of a lady standing with a camera over her head.
Yeah.
And she's taking pictures from various angles, and from that we're able to get a good estimate of how much they weigh. We found out estimate it really well. So we don't drag the scale out there so much anymore.
Okay, all right, yeah. That's neat. All right, so the white thing. Now, could you do me a favor and just give me the stats again once more about the change from the child to the adult? I know you gave it to me in an email a while ago, but you've got and they're called pups, right?
Yeah, they're called seal pups.
They're pups. Hold on 1 second here. All right, pups. And then, pups, and then mom. So you got the pups that start at 80 pounds, you said?
Maybe 50.
50 pounds? 50 pounds. And mom's up around, how many did you say?
1250 or 1300.
1250. 1250. We'll go on the light side and say 1250.
Well, interestingly, there's a big range of values.
Okay.
So some moms are smaller and some bigger. And these are the kinds of things we were able to look into. How, say, for instance, does a big mom do better at raising her, or small mom, and does a young one or does an old one? And if she has a lot of experience having pups, does that help her?
Yeah. And you were able to answer some of those questions.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And stuff.
That's really neat. So, so are the bigger ones better?
I think so.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
If I was a biologist, that would be the part I'd remember. But I remember the mathematical modeling. I don't remember the results.
That's great.
I'm pretty sure the big moms were better. I also believe that as far as age goes, that it's the ones in the middle that do the best. As they get older, they don't do as well.
Okay.
But we did it. So very few. Actually, It's not a whole lot of them. Only about 20% of them actually ever become breeders and have pups themselves.
20%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Most of them don't live that long.
Oh.
So, and they have to be about 8 years old before they have pups. But if they live to be 8 and can have pups, they'll typically live 15, 20 years.
Okay.
But we had one that was 32 years old. She
wow.
was a super.
Oh, no kidding.
And she had a pup almost every year, which is amazing because some of them take a few years off now and again.
And it's just one at a time?
Oh, yeah, almost always. Twins are quite a great rarity.
Okay.
Believe me, one of the pictures on my Flickr page, there's a pair of twins that are very cute.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize one of those were twins. All right.
Yeah.
So, I had one more question. I forget what it was. I'm sure it'll come back to me. But it's neat. So the pups, they go up to 250 in a period of 7 weeks.
Yep.
When the mom goes down to 800 or so, approximately.
So the pup gains about 200 pounds.
Yep.
Mom loses about 400 pounds.
Okay.
So that means about half of the weight loss of the mom goes to the pup's growth.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's neat. And you said how long they can stay underwater. You said 80 minutes, which is...
There was a book written about them, about this particular species of seals a long time ago called Weddell Seals, Consummate Divers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. Consummate divers.
Yeah. Excellent divers.
So we look over here, we've got, that's a baby seal. Just trying to answer this as we go along. It's a baby seal, and then the mom up top.
Yep.
Mom seal, that's great. And here's one of the questions too. What machines do you use?
Well, we didn't use trucks too much. That would be in the town of McMurdo Station where I mentioned. They had some really neat looking trucks though, right? Instead of having wheels, they'd have like Caterpillar treads.
Yeah.
On each of the 4 wheels. They were kind of neat.
Yeah.
They had great big buses with enormous wheels to go out onto the ice to pick people up from the airplanes.
Wow.
We rode around on snow machines.
Okay.
Big snowmobiles.
Snow machines.
If you get a chance to look, let's see. If you Google McMurdo Station, the National Science Foundation, you'll get some good pictures and stuff of what goes on in town, what kind of equipment they have.
Okay, that's
a lot
great.
Of stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, 300 people. That's a lot more people than I thought would be there for a permanent establishment there.
Yeah, well, and so they only stay about a year at a time, I think, is the max.
Okay, all right.
And then they shuffle them out. There's another station at the South Pole, and that's really isolated and really, really cold.
At the South Pole?
Right at the South Pole.
So and how long of a trip is it from like McMurdo Station to the South Pole?
Maybe a 5-hour flight. I believe we were 800 miles from the South Pole. So the South Pole, in the South Pole it's minus 75 degrees, which is just mind-bogglingly cold.
Yeah, that's really bad. Wow. Yeah. That's neat. And so we've got over here this, the kind of bird, and you've answered that already. And I'm going to see if I can remember it.
Skua.
Skua. All right, S-K-U-A, that's right. Oh.
And how to get there? They actually live there. That's their home.
Yeah, okay.
And they will go out to the edge of the sea ice, and they can eat crustaceans, I guess, out there and stuff. But they eat other meat that they can get along the way. Okay,
so they eat live things, and I guess they probably scavenge too. Yeah. Okay. All right. So getting so big, this diet it's all fish, hey?
Mostly fish. See the Lanugo on the pup there? Isn't it pretty?
Yeah. Now, how do you spell that, Lanugo?
Lanugo.
Lanugo. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a cute picture, isn't it?
That really is. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah.
Lots of good smuggling pictures of the mom and the pups.
No kidding. Like, those are amazing. How much do they weigh? We already talked about this. We've got 1250, but there's a big range, you were saying.
Yeah, big range.
Big range, and that's for the adults. And when it comes to what it is that they eat, this is another thing that you said that was very specific to these kinds of animals, because they eat a certain kind of sea bass or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, that's one of the. There's one reason there's been some concern for them, is that there's a fish, dear. It's called a toothfish.
Yes.
It has become a very popular food for people to eat because it's very tasty.
Okay. Yeah.
And it never used to be harvested commercially for people. And now it's being very heavily harvested, and so it is a bit of a concern that the population numbers are dropping for that fish.
Okay.
And it's the main source of food for the big seals. So, and I guess I read somewhere that the seals can eat between 20 and 50 pounds of food per day.
Wow.
So they need lots of fish. They also eat crustaceans, I believe, but mainly fish.
20 and 50 pounds a day.
That's the adults, yeah.
Okay. And they also eat crustaceans. And so crustaceans would be like, you're talking shrimp and crabs and stuff like that?
Right. And some funky ones that you've never seen.
And probably wouldn't want to see in the wrong environment, right?
Like big insects.
Yeah, yikes. All right, let's see over here. Oh, all right. So what about vehicles with the numbers on them? That was another question.
Well, I guess they keep pretty careful track of what they've got among their vehicles, and because everything has to be shipped in. So in the Antarctic summer, the ice around McMurdo Station melts out, and they can bring in some boats with big loads, huge loads of supplies, and everything they need. You can't just go down to the corner station and get an oil change or whatever.
Right.
All that stuff has to be brought in, and it all has to. It's like logistically, the planning is just very complicated. So they have to keep good track of things. I guess
lots of planning.
If you borrow a vehicle for a while, you have to do all kinds of reports about if there's any trouble. So they keep very good track of things.
Wow. All right, let's see this next one over here. All right. Oh, so when did the pups start eating? Obviously, they drink the milk from the mom, but when did they start eating fish and crustaceans? Yeah.
Yeah, not until they're in the water and fledged. I think is fledging the right word? Better not quote me on that.
Okay.
Birds fledge, I don't think.
Okay. All right.
Pups are weaned.
Oh, they're weaned. All right.
And weaned means that the mom's not giving them any more milk. They're on their own. But the mom will take them and takes them into the water and trains them how to do things. And I guess it's at that point that they learn.
Okay. Weaned and trained by mom?
Yeah.
So is it dangerous for them to learn how to swim? Like, is there a danger to them?
Yes.
Oh, is that right?
Well, the danger is predators.
Oh, okay. So it's not just like the act of swimming. It's like, hey, this is what you got to be careful for, son.
No. They're natural swimmers.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Some of them, it was really funny. You'd see some of them complaining. They make all noises. They make amazing noises. But you hear the babies go, they didn't want to get in the water. And mom would be coaxing the baby, come on, Junior, you got to get in there and swim.
It's like getting a teenager out of bed, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really neat. So
but the main thing is, I don't know if you've ever seen killer whales. Killer whales like Weddell seals.
Did you see any? I mean, obviously they're not going to like beach up onto the ice, I don't think, right? But
I never saw this, and they tell us to stay away from this part of the ice. But where the ice ends out at the ocean, every once in a while, an orca, which is a killer whale, will come up and rest its fin on the ice and just kind of look around.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're big, scary animals.
No kidding. Well, and they've got no predators at all, right? They kind of own the place.
They are the predators.
They are the, yeah. That's amazing. Wow. Oh, let me just see. Oh, did you take all the pictures?
I did, most of them.
Wow.
All the ones on those Flickr pages I took.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, it's just great for. Well, oh no, here's the picture I mentioned earlier. This lady's photographing a seal, and I believe this is being done. Yeah, do you see in front of her leg? There's a pole that's different colors.
Yep.
So they will use the pictures she's taken to get a good estimate of how much that mama weighs.
Okay.
That they don't have to get up on a sled and all that.
Yep.
But as far as all the pictures on the Flickr page and that kind of stuff, yeah, I did all that.
That's great.
And yeah, and it's a great place to take pictures.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
That is really neat. Now let me just see over here if I can pull something up really quick. Media. Let's see. Oh, look at this. I think I have. Yeah, here we go. All right, so I guess I won't be able to share this with you right now, but what I'll do, because I found them, I do have all of them together. I'll send you some of our artwork that our students have done.
I'd really like to see that.
So you can take a look at that, because they're based off of your pictures. What I did is I printed out one of your pictures that they chose, and they had that right next to their artwork that they were working on so that they could try and get it just right. Really, really neat. So
that's very cool.
That is good stuff.
I don't know if I mentioned this to you in any of our correspondence earlier, but the project that I'm involved with has a website that has all sorts of stuff in it. It's called. Did I give you that address?
You did, yes. And actually, there are a couple of videos there and lots of good educational resources too. Yeah, which has been great. And that's a good springboard, because even though I had it posted on our OneNote page for our class, I haven't really advertised it a lot just yet. But now that we're getting into the science unit, which we're going to be doing for the rest of the year, I'm going to definitely pass that along and try and make specific links for the kids to take a look at that. And probably bring up your that video again that you sent on YouTube and make a link to the Flickr page so that they can check out that stuff too.
That's really good.
We'll definitely do that.
That sounds like a much more interesting 4th grade experience than I had.
Oh, that's good. Were you doing mathematical modeling in 4th grade at that point, or not just?
No, but you know what? Tell your kids that math's good stuff, and if you can do the math, you can apply it to all kinds of different. I never dreamed I'd be working with seals, and I've worked with alligators. I've worked with all kinds of critters.
Wait! You work with alligators?
Well, not actually.
But I mean, like you're working with seals.
No, not like I work with
seals.
Okay. Seals I've had my hands on, but I've done work. I've done a lot of collaborative work on all kinds of bird species, alligators, frogs, all sorts of things. Just because math is so widely applicable.
Yeah.
And so if you like math, it's a good thing. And if you don't like it, keep at it, because there's good stuff there. You know what?
Do you think if we would we be able to have another call sometime, have a 10-15 minute chat just about that, and about, because we've got some students in my class who are very, very good at math and very interested in math too. And that even if they're not interested in it right now, maybe down the line, something always sparks your interest. So I don't know whether you always like math, but if we could talk about the kinds of things that you can get into doing math, that would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Okay, that sounds great.
So I'll leave you with a math question.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. All right, I'm ready.
All right. Suppose that you could take a rope and tie it all the way around the world.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So that's 25,000 miles of rope. You take that rope and you tie it around, and it just comes up snug. And you just are able to get it tight right there at the end. Okay? Yep. And then somebody says, well, tell you what, I don't want that rope there. I want to have it 3 feet higher all the way around. I want to make it like a ring around the Earth, 3 feet higher. So you're going to have to add some rope, right? How much more rope do you need?
Just 3 feet more, 3 feet around.
You want the rope to be 3 feet high off of either side, all the way around.
Oh, like a gap kind of thing.
Yeah, you want a gap.
Oh, okay,
so
all right. So
you want the rope to make a 3 foot high fence all the way around.
Gotcha.
How much more rope do you think you need to add?
How much?
Remember, the Earth's 25,000 miles around.
That's really interesting. I know just the students I'm going to put on that because that's too hard for me.
You'll be surprised how easy it is.
Really?
You'll be surprised how easy it is, and you'll also be surprised at the amount of rope you need, the additional rope you need. But I won't tell you more about that.
All right, we're going to have to, we're definitely going to have to do this again. We'll get back to you on the math question, and then we'll talk about why math is awesome and why you can do so many interesting things with it too.
All righty.
That's great. Hey, thank you so much for this.
It's really my pleasure.
This is great. I'm going to post this up for next week. Oh, sorry.
I'm just sorry I can't come up and visit y'all and say hi to your class.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That would be great. But this is next best. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great, Jay.
Thank you very, very much.
See ya.
See ya. All right, friends. So, how do we stop this over here?